I had a gentleman in here from England, and he's a retired engineer. He has never seen the internal workings of a radial engine. It was off duty. I brought him down there, and he was the most amazed individual and so thankful. He finally got to see the internal workings of a radial engine. Yep.
After all this years being an engineer, huh?
Retired.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of interesting things going on down here that a lot of people don't know about.
Like on the other side there, the three machinists that built the Wright brothers engine from scratch. They started off with 2 ingots of 4130 chrome Aldi steel, and from that developed the Wright brothers engine. There it is right there.
The P-26 was originated because Boeing before that built a P-12, which is a biplane fighter, and it was 180 mile an hour airplane. Well, Boeing in 1930 came out with the monomail, but cruised at over 200 miles an hour. So they didn't have an airplane that would catch up with their passenger airplane. And so what Boeing did was the Air Force the Army came to Boeing and said, we need, a fighter that will keep up with yours. And Boeing came up with an airplane that looked just about like a P-40, cantilevered wings, retractable gear. And the Army said, how much? And Boeing said $50,000. And remember, this is just right in the Depression, heights of the Depression. And the Army said, I'm sorry, we've only got $10,000 to spend. So this airplane had 2 firsts and 2 lasts. It was the first single wing airplane that they had. It was the first all-metal airplane that they had. It was the last open cockpit. And it was the last, what was it? There's another.
The external wing support.
And the last fixed gear airplane.
Fixed gear.
These 2 projects started because they fill a gap in our collection. We wanted to have airplanes from this era in aviation in our display, and that's why we selected to do these 2. Plus the fact that we were able to get adequate information on in terms of drawings and etc. to build the airplanes.
Let me show you a few of the restored airplanes up here on the exhibit floor. This is a Orion B-5 monoplane. It was built originally for passengers, and it was flown from San Diego to Quito, Ecuador by Philip Gildred. This is a Fokker E-3, a monoplane used by the Germans in World War I to begin shooting down Allied airplanes. It was very popular, very successful. Basically made of wood, covered with fabric. It had a machine gun with an interrupter so that the bullets wouldn't hit the propeller. The airplane hanging up above is a Thomas Morse S-4C Scout, used basically as a trainer during World War I. And there were a bunch in San Diego teaching Army cadets how to fly out on Otay Mesa. Cal Rogers flew this airplane across the United States in 42 days. He was trying to win a prize of $50,000 to do it in 30 days. The prize was put up by William Randolph Hearst. Well, he didn't win the money, and he was killed in a crash about a couple of months later off the coast of California. This is a glider built by John J. Montgomery way back about 1911. He was flying it in Evergreen, California. The last time he flew it was when he tried to take off and the plane crashed and he was killed. Now, the airplane, most of it's original except for the wings and tail, the fabric and wood part. The fuselage and the place where he sat is original.
We're missing two.
Yeah, your message too.
Yeah, just the top two.
Well, I was born in '28, and growing up, the war started, and I was pretty interested in airplanes. So I was in the Air Scouts and the Civil Air Patrol Cadets. And when everybody else went off to war, I ended up the scout leader. And I took aeronautics in high school. I worked at the Grassfield Airport, worked at Goodyear Aircraft, building airplanes. I soloed in a light plane, and I'd intended to go into the Army Air Corps, but the war ended before I was old enough to get in, so they closed all of the programs, and I ended up going into the Navy through photography school before I was able to get into flight training. And went to flight training in '49 after 2 years of college. And then in 1950, right after the Korean War began, 3 of us came out here to California together after getting our wings. And that was Neil Armstrong, Herb Graham, and myself. And everybody knows about Neil. The rest of us did about the same things Neil did. We all worked at the grass field, and we all were in the Scouts. Seems like everybody I know did that. And that's how I got into aviation. I was in the Navy 30 years, rose to captain, had several commands, flew the Hawkeye, the early warning aircraft, and started out in Corsair. Well, Dan and I are working on the main mounts for the P-26, the landing gear assemblies. Found it fascinating to take a piece of flat sheet aluminum and turn it into something three-dimensional. Right now we're trying to shape the fairings for the wheel pants and hope to have all this ready to go under the wing within the next 8 months or so.
3/16.
Yeah. Want to take this apart again?
Yep. I tell you what, let's do this before we take that apart. Then it'll be okay. But I did bring the spare today. We got this corner up here. Oops.
Try and get the rest of the file.
Yeah, I didn't do a very good job on that.
Okay.